Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. I've been asked just to spend a few minutes talking about cloud telephony. It's quite a big subject matter, so I'm going to try and keep it very brief. But firstly, I'd like to just give you my own thoughts about where we are today. I suppose that for cloud-based services, not cloud telephony itself, I generally believe that we are it's better understood today than what it was many years ago. And I'm probably convinced that for most of us in the room here, we're using some form of cloud-based services. That may be a little bit of Dropbox, where we are storing documents or photos, or even collaborating with customers. It may even be CRM systems such as Salesforce.com or Sales. Even at home, when I think about it, I don't go out and rent the DVD anymore. I would download a movie to watch. And the other thing I think about cloud-based services at the minute, I generally believe that we get it. We get the productivity gains it brings to the office and the efficiencies that comes along with it. But what about cloud telephony? Where does it fit in? And that leads me on to the 3 points I'd like to cover. The first, what it is. Second, what's driving the cloud telephony market, and lastly is how it's meeting business needs. If I quickly move on, what is cloud telephony? Well, at Rainbow Communications, we're seeing many businesses, and probably most of us in the room, that have sweated out the asset of their old communications equipment. It's coming to the end of life, and there's that decision now whether we replace it with something similar, or do we replace it with a cloud-based service. And the other thing we're seeing is that customers are recognising that the way that they've done business in the last 10 years and how they've communicated with their customers is very much changing, and therefore the next investment has got to be looking ahead on how customers are going to engage. So what we're seeing is 30 to 40% of businesses that replace their communication systems with us are now moving to the cloud. And within the cloud-based services, you get all the functionality of your phone system, plus an awful lot more. So, for example, it just doesn't deal with voice anymore. It can accept emails and deliver them to your premises. It can deal with SMS. It can deal with web chat, and it can even interconnect with social media, such as LinkedIn. But how do we get it? Well, it's very simple. Through your existing broadband connection or with a new broadband connection, we can deploy the new telephone handsets. And because it's in the cloud, you can access it from any smartphone device or any laptop, Mac, tablet. So, as mentioned, all the functionality of the phone system that you've had today is now moved to the cloud, and it also now delivers a whole new range of functions and features that you would never even associate with the traditional telephone system. I would, however, just put one caution, a word of caution out there, and that is you could be overwhelmed with the amount of cloud telephony solutions there are. There are an awful lot of what we call DIY propositions. And what we would say is that if you are looking at a cloud-based telephony solution, make sure that it's one that's powered or delivered by a carrier such as the BT wholesales of this world. But moving on the market, and what's some interesting facts about the Northern Ireland market and what we see as the key drivers? Well, surprisingly, 95% of us can get good fibre connections. That's the super fast broadband. And there are many regions in the UK that would be quite envious of the types of broadband speeds we can get. 53% of us now use social media, and that's not just outside work, but that's professionally as well. Probably things like Twitter and LinkedIn. 1 in 3 homes have a tablet, and the reason why I'm highlighting that, it's probably reinforcing the fact that we are more and more using cloud-based services. 51% of us are very comfortable banking online, and 60% of us now, very simply, are very comfortable now buying our products and services online. And that trend is going to continue to happen, and therefore all I'm really doing is just, I suppose, setting the scene again that how we're communicating now is very different than where it was 5, 6, 7 years ago, and we're now dealing with the new, what we call iPod generation, the kids growing up, coming out of college, university. But how does it meet business needs? Well, current economic climate, there's no capital expenditure involved, you just simply pay as you go. We're addressing the increasingly mobile workforce. We work a lot from home these days or from remote locations, and it allows us to embrace unified communications. Unified communications is defined differently by everyone, but let's say you wanted to look at desktop video or be able to show your computer screen with your customers. You can tap into those services in the cloud, and hey, if they don't work, you can switch them off. And that leads me on to managing technology risk, because how often have we bought something and realised it doesn't give us the desired outcome that we wanted, or the staff didn't adapt to it? Lastly, there is generally a growth in cloud-based services, as I mentioned at the start, like some Dropbox, CRM. But on that note, I think that's my time up. Thank you. I'll just leave you with a short video on where we've came from, where we are today.